The Philippines will contribute to this global shared future only if we continue our anti-bases and missiles, anti-BBM proxy war campaign. Presently, our foremost activities are the information crusades to fight the massive US $1.6 billion anti-China propaganda campaign and the city-to-city anti-war caravan that has traveled from Manila to Tuguegarao and Cebu, and our next stops are Cagayan de Oro and General Santos cities, where U.S. bases are also located or being located. A very popular release of the book, A Nuclear War Scenario by Anne Jacobson, the 2024 instant and international bestseller book, indicates the alarm the world's thinking class has of the world because of the escalating events now transpiring in West Asia, the U.S.-Israel versus the Arab world in its front lines in Gaza, Lebanon, and Iran, and in Eastern Europe, the Ukraine war that is now being brought to Asia, and the Philippines with the U.S. installation of its missile launchers in the country. Global concern of the above, which has reached panic levels in some quarters, may explain the popularity of the book, which was heightened recently by Russian President Putin. In a September 2024 announcement, President Putin announced the revision of Russia's nuclear doctrine, enumerating a broader list, quote, a broader list of countries and military alliances that are subject to nuclear deterrence. Aggression against Russia by a non-nuclear country, but with the participation or support of a nuclear country. Earlier in July 2024, President Putin was quoted saying, quote, "Today it is known that the United States not only produces these missile systems, but has already brought them to Europe for exercises, to Denmark. Quite recently, it was announced that they are in the Philippines," unquote. Reckless Filipino officials like Defense Secretary Gibot Teodoro are keeping the perilous prospect from Filipinos, but the looming nuke war scenario in the Philippines is a specter that cannot be dismissed. This hair-raising scenario was brought about when the BBM government embraced the US, the United States, and its strategy of forever wars, thereby expanding the unconstitutional US military bases in the Philippines and accepting the installation of Typhoon missile launchers and intermediate missiles on a permanent basis. This has threatened the major powers in Asia, and brings to mind the Cuban Missile Crisis that brought the world to the brink of nuclear war in 1962. China's missile message. Our focus on President Putin's nuclear doctrine revision is not to downplay the concern of Asian superpower China that he declared by launching an ICBM test deep into the Pacific, an announced launch for the first time in 40 years that flew over US allies, Japan and the Philippines, and towards the direction of the United States and its Pacific military bases. China calls the forever deployment of US Typhoon missile system in the Philippines as poison to the Philippines and the region. The US neither confirms nor denies presence of nuclear weapons or missiles among their stockpiles in the US bases of our country, a question that the spineless BBM government, its clownish defense secretary and national security advisor don't dare to verify. Targeted countries must always assume the presence of nukes in these stockpiles. Hence, the presence of the US missiles makes the country a target for nuclear preemption, or retaliation, where Filipinos will be cooked. Of the three, China currently has the smallest stockpile of the three major nuclear powers. China currently has the smallest stockpile of nuclear warheads, 500 by most estimates. In comparison, the US has 5,000, while Russia has 6,000. Being in third place, China continues to protest US hype of an alleged China nuclear threat theory. However, if the US keeps using country proxies like the Philippines to threaten it, China may expand quickly to reach its nuclear weapons potential. In the meanwhile, China continues to call for global disarmament. The irresponsible proliferation of US missiles in the world, and particularly in the Philippines, threatens the region as a whole. Once again, we remind the Philippine government that the country has signed the Southeast Asian Nuclear Weapons Free Zone and the Zone of Peace, Freedom, and Neutrality Pact its ASEAN neighbors. Connivance with the US in deployment of missiles to the Philippines is a violation of these agreements. Upholding a shared future to build a world of peaceful coexistence. China will be alongside the global majority of developing nations when BRICS will hold its crucial summit this October in Kazan, Russia, with the theme Strengthening Multilateralism for Equitable Global Development and Security, unquote. China has been at the forefront of the global campaign to promote the vision of a global community organized into a multipolar world that enjoys a shared future of forever peace and prosperity based on peaceful coexistence of all human civilizations, ideologies, and nations. Joey. The Chinese People's Association for Peace and Disarmament invited the Philippines to participate last September 19 to 21 in its commemorative event for the International Day of Peace 2024. The Philippines was ably represented by political observer Ms. Joy Cruz, who joins us in today's media forum to share her insights into the event and her impressions on the dreadful prospect of a nuclear war scenario in the Philippines and the world. The thematic paper of the International Day of Peace event explains, quote, "The world today is confronted with the choice between peace and war, prosperity and recession, and solidarity and confrontation. We need to keep abreast of the times, grasp the historical trend, stay committed to peace, development, and win-win cooperation. The aspiration of the people around the world for peace, tranquility, and a better life is the goal we should work together to attain," unquote. The Philippines will contribute to this global shared future only if we continue our anti-bases and missiles, anti-BBM proxy war campaign. Presently, our foremost activities are the information crusades to fight the massive US $1.6 billion anti-China propaganda campaign and the city-to-city anti-war caravan that has traveled from Manila to Tuguegarao and Cebu, and our next stops are Cagayan de Oro and General Santos cities, where US bases are also located or being located. That is our statement on this crisis the Philippines is facing with the prospect of a nuclear war scenario coming to our region and to our country.